welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the change of intro music. That actually is a little piece of synthwave that I created, but I gave it to my friend Coach Noah Revoy to use on his channel. He asked me to make him some cool synthwave music, and that's what I came up with. But it's late tonight. I don't want to have another coffee before I go to bed, so I needed something to get me in the mood, get me excited. And I remembered that piece of music I made, and I kind of dig it. I hope you do too. That's currently 40 seconds. It's just a little intro, but I want to flesh that into a full 3 or 4 minute tune and upload it and make the video clip all graphics of, I don't know whether to go with graphics of classical art, of European history and castles and all this great shit, or to just have 3 minutes of me and my mates deadlifting. I don't know. You let me know. In any case, that's another little project for me for the future. I want to flesh that out. No, it'll have to be. It's Western Renaissance here at this channel, so we're going to merge the past with the future. I'll flesh that out into a 3 or 4 minute song, and we'll fuse it with all the cool synthwave and classical mashup graphics, because it's not just about the past, it's not just about conserving the past or the present, it's also about creating the future. And you're hanging out with good company here at Western Renaissance and all my friends. We've got stuff happening. So first of all, thank you so much. I've been putting an effort. Finally, after all these years, I've been making an effort with this channel. And in 2 weeks, I've had 4 fantastic supporters. I'll just say, Walter, thank you so much. Also, George and Catherine. If I had 30 or 40 people donate to me at the level that you guys do, I would happily do this full time and pay other people to help me out with graphics and production. And it would be marvelous, because, you know, we have to be modest. But I will say there's a lot of brain power going on behind this channel. Not all mine. I can revert back to the brains trust. But there's a lot of brain power going on behind these ideas that we talk about on this channel, and there's some really good stuff. And so the goal would be to merge the big brains with the awesome aesthetics and take over the world. Anyway, thanks so much, guys, for the support. The Telegram's going great. Like I said, I've had it for 2 weeks or something now. I've already got 50 subs to the channel. The latest post is like 200 views. A funny little thing is my YouTube channel is primarily where people are subbed to me still, and that connects to the Telegram. So I'm pretty sure that when Telegram shows me how many people are viewing a post, they most likely went there through YouTube, because I'm not getting that many views on Odyssey and Rumble just yet, but that's an investment for the future, so that's all good. So I'm still primarily getting my views on YouTube, but on Telegram it's telling me currently 200 people have seen the post for the last video on projection. But YouTube, let's have a look. YouTube, it was sitting at 50 views. I've actually logged on to see how it's going after putting a video out, and it said 40, then I refreshed the page and then it said 38. Go figure. So YouTube is definitely throttling the views. We all know, I mean, just the company that I keep, I'm probably on the list, you know what I mean? Which is cool. So all I can say yet again is jump on the Telegram, also on Rumble, Odyssey and BitChute, just in case YouTube kicks me off. So you gotta keep in touch. You gotta keep in touch with what we're doing. Now, other plans for the future, I wanna flesh out as much as I can on exposing the specific verbal mechanics of the popular ways in which people lie and manipulate, because I want you to be able to see it very clearly and not be subject to it at all. So we're going to finish the lying stuff, the talking about how to lie and being specific about the way they do it, the little verbal tricks and reframing, etc. After that, I want to look at some specific examples, and there's this great clip that came out a few weeks ago between Ben Shapiro and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Both of these are on my don't bother with those clowns list, but that's beside the point. And I want to go through that and other videos like that and just stop and point out that's where we start lying, and that's the technique they're using, right? After that, some other things for the future. I mentioned, previous relationship with a Jewish girl and her family. That is a wealth of interesting conversation right there. Learned a lot. The next thing, go away. The next thing I really want to do as well, I want to do a lot on relationships, male and female relationships, because there's a wealth to talk about there. And it's very important, because you want to destroy a civilization, you destroy the bonds between men and women. And that is what has been done to us. Someone, just to preview that topic, someone did write on one of my last videos, are women evil? No. They are not evil at all, in the slightest. I've definitely gone through my time years ago struggling with women, and I've definitely come out on top. I understand what's going on. I feel completely in control and in the lead in my relationship. I feel very comfortable around women, and I understand women, and I know how to talk to women, and I want you to have that as well. So that'll be a great source of conversation there, because one of the greatest things you can do to give the middle finger to the powers that be at the moment is to find a woman, have a successful relationship with her, get married and have some kids. So I want to help you do that. Another interesting topic I want to cover, which ties into getting married and having kids, is status. Status is very important, and if there's one thing that is like pulling the matrix, that are coming, like waking up out of the matrix, it is to be able to walk around society, look people up and down, listen to them speak, and then analyze their status. That is a superpower in reading people and reading where they're coming from. And another thing I think at which I've gotten quite good at, you can read people's status, you can read their motivations, you can read what they're going to do, you can read what they're going to say. That is another superpower. And so talking about status, reading people's status, looking out for certain cues with people's status, that is another superpower, and I want to cover that. And another thing off the top of my head, very, very important for all the guys out there, masculinity in particular has been so debased and attacked relentlessly for decades now. We all know that. And so it's very, very important for us to regain that masculinity, that male pride and power. And what I specifically want to talk about is ways to be high status, ways to raise your status, things you should be doing, things you should be aiming for with yourself. Oh geez, hang on. Things you should be looking for to be high status as a male. That is a huge topic of conversation as well, and I want to cover that. So as usual, guys, the more you help me, the more I can put into this. There's big plans. Like I said, I want to get back to producing some of that music and creating some art in the vein of the style of this channel. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things happening, but they require time, they require other people's services. So the more you can help me, the more I'm going to put into this. And it's going really great so far. So thank you so much for the support. On to the topic today. Have you ever been in the situation? Well, I know you've been in the situation because it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere, and the only reason you wouldn't be aware of it is because you don't see it yet, but it is everywhere. Where you say, let's pick Muslims for a say. I don't agree with the values of the Muslim religion. let's take a statement like that, and then someone goes, wow, you must be Islamophobic. Now that's a lie, and unlike our last video on projection, this is not an accidental lie, this is a purposeful lie. It may be subconscious, but if human beings have any agency at all, then this can be defined as a very purposeful, manipulative lie. Now let's really think about what's going on here. You say, X, I disagree with this behavior. Or you might make a systematic / logical argument. You say, these values of these people are incompatible with the values of my people. So to put us in proximity with each other is going to cause conflict because we have conflicting values. So surely it's not a good idea for people with conflicting values to be within proximity, living in the same tax farm together. And then someone counters and they say, well, you just must be Islamophobic. A phobia means you have a fear. If you're arachnophobic, it means you are pathologically, psychologically phobic, scared to death of spiders. So they're saying you're scared. So if someone says you're Islamophobic, you must have an irrational phobia, an irrational fear, irrational and all-consuming fear of Muslims. So let's just really break down what's happening here. You're saying a logical point. I disagree with these values, and I can predict this is going to cause conflict in the future. And they say, you must have an irrational and all-consuming fear of these people. Of course, there is so much overlap between all these ways of lying, etc. Once again, it is like the feelings over facts. It is like the projection. You're flipping from a systematic, logical point into being accused of having an emotional basis for what you're saying. So it's kind of like projection. Sorry, not projection, scrap that. It's kind of like psychologizing. Psychologizing is when you say, oh, I have an issue, and then someone has to insert a psychological reason for why you're saying what you're saying. They're not listening to what you're saying. They're saying, no, that your opinion can't have any logical validity on its own. You just must have some damaged aspect of your psychology. So for instance, you just hate your mother. That's why you're saying that. So that's what psychologizing is. Oh, well, I disagree with this behavior of women. Well, you must have unresolved issues of hate and abandonment towards your mother. You see how that doesn't necessarily follow? It may be true. It may be true. And human beings do act and speak from an emotional basis a lot of the time. So that's why this can be valid sometimes. But it can also very much not be valid. It can also just be a way of not listening to what you're saying. So it's kind of like psychologizing. If they say, once again, we're choosing the example of Muslim immigration, living in proximity to Muslims, say. I have this problem with their value system and I don't know how it's going to interact with my own. Well, you must be scared of them. So that's kind of like psychologizing, but it's also shaming you as well. It's also saying, and that's bad. Because they're not saying, oh, you poor thing, you must be really scared of them. That must be horrible for you. They're not, it's not a sympathetic term at all. They're psychologizing you and they're shaming you for it. So I'm going to call this technique psycholo-shaming. Psycholo-shaming. Let's run with it for now. Psycholo-shaming. Like psychologizing and shaming. So this little technique. I think we're going to have this problem with Muslim immigration. Well, you must be Islamophobic. Psychologizing and shaming, that's psycholo-shaming. Another one. I disagree with this general tendency or behavior that is very prevalent among women. Well, you must be misogynistic. You must hate women. That's psycholo-shaming. because you're being psychologized and shamed for it. So you see this everywhere. This is prevalent everywhere. This will roll off the tongues of news anchors, mainstream media, politicians, teachers, university lecturers, everywhere. Islamophobia is a common word. Misogynistic is a common word. All these things, they're so common, they're everywhere. And every time it's being used, it is potentially a lie. I won't say it's always a lie, because maybe some people do hate women. Maybe some people are scared of Muslims, but I really don't think so. I've never met anyone. I certainly love women. I love my woman a lot, the most even. But just because you disagree with something that maybe is a general tendency or a behavior of women, or there's something you want to talk about, it does not mean you hate them or you disrespect them. On the contrary, if you really hate and disrespect someone, you tell them exactly what they want to hear, even if it's going to have negative consequences for them. That's what you do if you hate people, which is the grand irony of this, the grand irony. Because if you're, saying, oh, what about this behavior of women? I'm not sure about that, and we're analyzing that. The person who calls you misogynistic is the one who hates women, because they can't even logically hold women to account or something. You know what I mean? And the same thing with Islamophobic. I'm not scared of Muslims. I'm not bigoted at all. I've traveled. I love cultures. I love the diversity of cultures on this planet. And if there is conflict by putting incompatible value systems next to each other, then there's conflict for us and there's conflict for them. And so it's a great reciprocal solution. There's great reciprocity in saying, well, maybe you have your space and I'll have mine, and we'll trade and interact as separate but equal. And that actually is a position of great respect for other cultures. It's definitely not being scared of them or hating them. So it is a lie. It's a lie every time it's said. And I would venture to say that most of the time it is a deliberate, pernicious, manipulative lie. Every time. So once again, psycholo-shaming, psychologizing you, not listening to what you say, and instead saying, well, you're only saying that because you have a damaged psychology, and then shaming you for it. Saying, yeah, of course, that's bad. Don't do that. This is another tool to manipulate the cog-fems, the cognitively feminine, the empathetic brains. Because what it does is, if someone says, well, you're just scared, it makes you look low status. And I've mentioned this in the last video, and like I said, there's so much overlap between all these different things, but there are specific techniques we can see that are the very prevalent ones, but there's so much overlap. Once again, watch any popular TV show, movie, whatever, any popular media. There's always an angle that it's written from. There are always people we're meant to like and people we're meant to not like. And as you get better at reading people's status and reading all these social cues, you can even tell in the arc of, say, like a series or a soap opera, how the signaling around a character changes because they're trying to go from someone that you were supposed to like to someone that you're not supposed to like anymore. Or vice versa, someone that you weren't supposed to like and someone that you do like. If they want to make a character unattractive to the empathetic brains, to the cognitively feminine, they make them look low status. They make them look scared, not in control of themselves, volatile, unstylish, unattractive. In every little way, they make them look low status. And the cognitively feminine, the empathetic brains don't like them. But then if they want you to like a character, they make them high status. They make them calm, collected, in control, well put together. They use the social proof. All the other characters on screen like that person, so you will too. So there's all these ways, these social signals that make you like or not like a character. And when someone says to you, you must be pathologically scared, you just must be scared. Well, being scared, especially as a man, means you're weak. And that is a way to paint you as low status. It is a way for the cog femmes, for the empathetic brains. It's a way to manipulate the empathetic brains against you, to make you look socially low status, and then to bypass what you're saying, but to manipulate other people against you. You see what I'm saying? The same thing if they say, you must hate women. Why do you hate women? The only people who hate women, this isn't technically true necessarily, but I think it's generally true, and it's especially true in girl world, is that the only men who hate women are the ones that don't get any women. You see? So when they say, well, you're a misogynist, they're saying you're unsuccessful with women. They're painting you as low status. And you have to counter this. You have to learn your social signaling. It's very, very important that you get the social signaling right so that you can counter this attack on your status, this social paintball of you suck. That's what Trump had very well, is that people say Trump was stupid and all that sort of stuff. Maybe talking about Trump is a whole other conversation. It's a bit irrelevant now. But one thing he did have was good signaling, and that's why he communicated to people. Social proof is very important. I heard, I don't know if I read a psychological thing one time, and it said, it was psychology of marketing. And if someone calls, say you're a real estate agent, and someone calls your secretary and they say, I want to talk about a house, and your secretary goes, I'll just pass you through to John. He's an expert in that area. Everybody says so. What she's doing is giving him social proof and status, which is going to have an effect on the person calling. It's going to make them much more receptive to him because he's being set up by someone else, by a third party. He's being called high status. And here's the catch in the marketing stuff that I read. That's what it was. It was the psychology of marketing. It doesn't even matter if people know that it's bullshit. People know that she's your secretary and you're paying her to say that. It doesn't even matter because these things happen on an instinctual level. And look, I would go further to say that it's, this was mainstream psychology, so it was probably not going to differentiate between systematic and empathetic brains. But I will say, I would definitely put my money on that it being much more effective on the empathetic brains. That social proof. And so what Trump would do is say, I'm the best at this, everybody says so. Well, according to the marketing, it doesn't even matter if you're saying it yourself. It still works on people's subconscious minds. So it's very, very important that you get your signaling right. Trump was a great example of this, but you can see it anywhere in popular culture. Look at the signaling of the people that the media wants you to like, or the TV or the movie wants you to like. How do they signal? How do people look at them? How do they react to confrontation? They're calm. They use humor. So if someone said to me, say if I was on TV and someone said, why do you hate women? I would laugh, because laughing shows you're in control. Laughing shows you're not even remotely threatened. If I got sweaty, got angry, furled my brows, and it started getting aggressive, it shows I'm backed into a corner. Laughing shows I'm not backed into a corner. I'm free, I'm happy. And I'd say, are you kidding? I love women. I love my woman most of all. Incredible. I couldn't live without her. She's amazing. And that's all true. She's amazing. But the point would be, I'm neutralizing that attempt at lowering my status through signaling. But then I would double down on the actual point. So I'd neutralize the attack on my status, and then I would calmly double down on the point. So I would say, "Are you kidding? I'm not Islamophobic. I've been to the Middle East. I love their culture. The people are beautiful. The food is fantastic, and I love the music. But what I'm saying is that I have a concern about the compatibility of different cultures, and I think it's not good for them, and I think it's not good for us, either party, if there's going to be a conflict because of that. And I want what's best for myself and my culture, and I want what's best for them and their culture as well." And so what that is signaling is that you're in control. You don't hate people because they're good to you. You're not angry at the world because the world's been good to you. And if the world's been good to you, it's because you're high status. And then you make your point. So, psychologizing. I don't know if that term can take off, but that's what I'm running with for now. I've thought about this for a couple of days. Psychologizing and shaming, in an attempt to lower your status, to neutralize your argument in front of other people. And the way you do that is you laugh, you raise your own status by implying. You can even do it yourself the way Trump did. "Are you kidding? Women love me." No, you wouldn't do that. Sorry, that's terrible. Because the only guy who says women love me is that whole I'm God's gift to women, and then you become across like a bit of a douchebag. So no, I love women. The women in my life are amazing. That's a better way to insinuate. Say the women in my life are absolutely amazing. Because if you can attract amazing women to your life, then it's going to be a signal at your high status. That's a great thing. No way. I love the women in my life dearly, and the women in my life are amazing, amazing people. But what my point is this, and it's good for everybody. And I want what's best for everybody. Do you see what I mean? So, with another group or another culture, are you kidding? I love their culture. What I'm saying is X, and X is good for everybody, and I want what's best for everybody. Because if you do these things, you're coming across calm, you're coming across like a leader. And because so many people are almost free falling through life, they gravitate towards people who show leadership. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So let me know if you have any more thoughts about this, but psychology-shaming, it is everywhere. Everywhere. I have a problem with X. Well, you must hate X because you're low status and you suck and nobody should listen to you. You know what I mean? Let me know if you want that fleshed out anymore, if you want to talk more about how to neutralize it. But once again, with all these techniques of lying, political, social lying, and all games for status, attempts at lowering your status so that you can be ignored by other people. You gotta learn to see it. Psychology-shaming, Islamophobia, bigoted, racist, misogynistic, any of these things, they usually are psychology-shaming, psychologizing and shaming you for it. And if you're, step one is seeing that it is everywhere, so don't let it affect you. Know that the matrix is language. See through the matrix of that language and go, okay, well, I don't know why they're trying to manipulate this guy, but what did he actually say? Why are they trying to manipulate people against this guy? Maybe I'll listen to what he's actually saying. And and you can point this out to other people in your life that you care about. Oh, they called him a racist, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that maybe they don't like what he's saying. That doesn't make him a racist necessarily. It just means he's got a different opinion. And the next step is, if you're in that situation yourself, deal with it. Laugh it off. Stay in control. Because all these things are signals of high status. Reassert your point, and reassert that your point is good for everybody. Because, if your solution isn't good for other people, then they don't have an incentive to care what your solution is. So, usually, you know, people gravitate towards politicians and people like Trump because they do come forward with enough positive for everybody, and that's a good thing. So no, my solution is great for everybody. I really care about everyone. You know, society loves the sort of person that cares about everyone else, because you're looking like a leader, because what people want is something for them. And so if you're going to give shape and meaning and strategy to their life's problems, they're going to listen to you. So let me know if that all makes sense, and let's move on to the next one after this. Cheers. Just before we head out, I'll wrap up again with the piece of music I made for Coach Noah Revoy. Shout out to his channel. He's an absolutely legendary guy. He's given me a lot of help in life. He's fantastic. If you want some agency coaching, if you want to have that one-on-one with someone who's just really going to help you get your thinking in order, increase your agency, and just take life by the balls, you have to chat to Noah. He is absolutely legendary brother. So good. So we'll play the bit of music I made for his channel again. Let me know if you want to hear that fleshed out into a full song with a cool clip of great stuff. And I'll put Noah's channel links in the description below as well. I'm sure you know who he is if you follow me, but if you don't, do yourself a favor. Check out Coach Noah as well.